Hello everyone and welcome to the Game Plan with Hunter Hughes. I'm Lucas Kinsey, voice of Buffalo football, and I can finally say it with a lot of excitement. The 2017 season is here. Football is back, folks. West Texas A&M this Saturday will host Azusa Pacific, the Cougars, the number 13 ranked team in the country. And that's Saturday, 6 p.m. at Kimbrough Memorial Stadium. Let's take a look at the schedule for the Buffaloes as the 2017 season opens. West Texas A&M is at home for most of September. In fact, the first 3 games are all at home. After Azusa Pacific, the Buffs will welcome to town Colorado State Pueblo, a team that we're all ready to see. And then after that, the Buffs will have their first Lone Star Conference opponent as they'll welcome UT Permian Basin to town. So all of that's at home before the Buffs make their first road trip to Stephenville and take on Tarleton State. All right, let's welcome in the man of the hour, head coach Hunter Hughes. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Lucas. Appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, sure. So, Coach, I want to ask you, Michael McBroom, athletic director, back in December, introduces you to Buff Nation as the 28th head football coach in program history. You've had 9 months since that time. It's been a fast 9 months. But in that time, you've done a lot of work. You did some things such as hire your first coaching staff, which is a very good one, I might say. After that, you had your first signing class in February, and then came spring football. And then the last 3 weeks, the guys have been out in the heat, and they've been going through fall camp. That concluded last Saturday. So it's a lot of work in just 9 months, but finally you get to play and you get to have fun and get out there on the field. Talk about your emotions and the excitement level for you first year as a head coach with your team going out on the field Saturday.
I think there's a nervous anxiety, not really just because it's the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I think you do anything, it's you always wonder, and I've always said the first thing I don't want to do is be running out, leading the team out, and trip on the field, and have run all around me and stuff. So that's what I'm more nervous about. The game itself will take control of itself,
Yeah.
And the decisions that are made, I believe I've prepared, and I've got coaches that will help me, and we've talked about game plan in certain situations and things go on. So, this is like I said, it's the fun part. I think the players are excited. They're tired of hearing me all the time. They want to go hit somebody else instead of each other, and I'm excited for them. I think they'll come out and play, hard all the time, and I think they're ready for that. I think that's the mentality we have, and I think they'll be ready to play.
Yeah. Mentioned a lot of the work that you've done in the last 9 months. One thing that I've noticed is your involvement in the community. You and your coaches and also the players have been out with the Buff fans and doing a lot of work. A couple of examples this summer. News Channel 10 did the summer celebration tour. Obviously made the stop in Canyon down on the square, and I saw you and some of the coaches out there having fun with the fans. And then first day of school, a couple of weeks ago, I get home and my son, who is a big Buff football fan, first thing he says when I get home is he says, "Dad, the Buff football players were at my school today." So talk a little bit about the importance that you feel in terms of that relationship with the community and the Buff fans.
Well, we live here,
Yeah.
and the people of Canyon, we bring in all these players from different parts of the state and the surrounding areas, and I want our players to understand the people of Canyon and who they are. And I live in Canyon, and I wanted to be involved in what was going on in the city of Canyon and the Amarillo area, and I think that I got to generate interest. I got to get people excited about coming out to watch us play. And there's no better way than having our players go out and get involved in what's going on. The elementary school was an idea that Coach McDonough had that he had seen a team of Western State do, and so we ran with it and said, let's do this. And it turned out to be a huge success. And everybody says, points the finger at me and gives me all the credit. I don't deserve all the credit. I think the assistant coaches have done a lot of things in the community, and we just kind of feed off each other. And I think that's important to know. I kind of want every one of our assistant coaches to live in Canyon and to be seen in the community and to be at restaurants, make yourself available, because then you don't feel isolated. You're just another one of the community members, and
Sure.
I don't want to walk around, and I don't want our staff to walk around and people be intimidated by who we are. If they are, I mean, they shouldn't be, but if they are, I don't know, shoot, you can come up and talk to us just like you can anybody. I just got back with a couple of players from a school in Amarillo, Hamlet, and a school in Lakeview here in Canyon, and we're doing this thing called Hughes' Heroes, and it's a reading, whatever. We got a couple of different schools, and they're in a competition for the week, and we delivered little drawstring backpacks and tickets to the game this Saturday to the classrooms that read the most or did the best in their respective activity they had. So I think it's important. I think it's, I want our football players to get a lot out of being here. And if they just do football, they're not going to be well-rounded adults. And I think it's important that they see the impact that they have on the community, but also see the impact that the community has on them.
Sure.
I remember that morning, a player coming up that I did not expect to come up to me and say, "Coach, that was fun. I didn't want to go to the elementary schools. I thought it was something you're just making us do, but we had a really good time. What's the next thing we can do?"
Yeah, well, I can tell you that the kids loved it, teachers loved it as well. They had a great time with that. All right, next question, let's have some fun here. As a head coach, you start to get noticed for other things, maybe that you weren't noticed for maybe as an assistant coach. One of those is your fashion, your game day fashion. Are you going to have a certain style? Are we going to see the sweater that Bill Belichick pulls out? Are we going to see a hat? Or what is Hunter Hughes' fashion going to look like on Saturdays?
I will be dressed just like every other coach, except I might have like a jacket on.
Okay.
Just what I've done. I always wear a hat. And the one thing I will say I do is I wear a brand new pair of socks every game.
Okay.
And that's the only thing. It's got to be fresh out of the bag and brand new pair of socks every game.
Is Junkyard in charge of that?
No.
Okay.
I'm not putting Junkyard in charge of anything.
Okay. Next question. Over the summer, maybe something that you did to rewind a little bit. A lot of pressure and stress, obviously, with the job. But did you get away a little bit and have some fun?
I went down to Paladera Canyon and ziplined.
Okay, there you go.
Had a good time there. And then on that same day, went up to the Wonderland up in Amarillo and rode some roller coasters and
nice.
Had a good time.
Well, there you go. Let's talk about the big game on Saturday. It's Azusa Pacific. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the number 13 ranked team in the country as far as preseason. This is a team, their head coach, Victor Santa Cruz, last season 9-3. They've won their conference respectively 3 out of the last 4 years, and they bring back a lot of talent. So far, Coach, first game for you, and a quality opponent. Talk a little bit about what you expect to see on Saturday from the Cougars.
Well, the first thing is you want to play a quality opponent because you want to have a goal at when you start camp. If you're playing a team that's hadn't won any games or is not as good, then camp can drag on because you think you're going to go in there and win. So playing an opponent like Azusa Pacific is, I think, is really good for the start of this program this year. Okay. You talk about talent. Eight starters returning on offense, the entire offensive line. The player of the year, offensive player of the year, and Eifers the quarterback. The running back, Scobie, is probably top notch. Could easily, probably is going to press the quarterback for player of the year in that category in that conference as well.
And they want to run first.
Well, yeah, I think that they do things the way that we want to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to get with a tight end and they're going to run the ball and they're going to move that tight end. But they got some playmakers on the outside, so they use the run well to set up the pass. So it's going to be quite a challenge for us defensively, for their offense. And I know offensively, with what we're doing, I'm just excited to see our boys run.
Yeah. If you could give a key or two for your team going against Azusa Pacific on Saturday, what would that be?
I think the first thing is going to be the emotional part of the game. It's the first game and new coaching staff and a new brand of football here in West Texas. And I think they're excited, and I don't want them to lose that, But the game's going to have a lot of ebbs and flows, and we're going to have to fight the emotions for the very first quarter, and hopefully we'll withstand that, And, the second thing is turnovers. You got to win the turnover battle. I look back at this game last year, and West Texas lost the turnover battle, and I think it's huge. And what's not counted in that as a turnover is the very first snap of the punt that ended up in a safety, I believe. And
Put them in a hole.
Yeah, although it's not a turnover, but it's just like a turnover because they got points and got the ball back. Very relatively midfield.
Sure.
And we're able to do things with it. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're all looking forward to the game again this Saturday, 6 p.m. at Kimbrough Memorial Stadium. Your Buffs take on Azusa Pacific. And also want to mention fans, the tailgating starts at 3 p.m. Southeast side of the stadium. And it's going to be at the new range, sponsored by United Supermarkets. Also, Buffalo Club members, don't forget, stop by the Buffalo Club tailgate area. And all that food is sponsored by Rayburn Reynolds. So we appreciate United Supermarkets as well as Rayburn Reynolds. That's going to wrap up our first show here with Hunter Hughes. I want to thank our producers of the show, James Hadnot and also Angelo Pontello. A big thanks to our sports information director, Kit Streef. So for head coach Hunter Hughes, I'm Lucas Kinsey. Join us next week as we'll be right back with you guys on The Game Plan with Hunter Hughes.